2024 is an interesting and important year in the life of the mining industry in South Africa. The Mineral and Petroleum Resources Development Act is turning 20. So to celebrate this 20th anniversary of the MPRDA, I am joined in conversation by Mike Teke, the Chief Executive of Seriti Resources, and a proper son of the soil. Mike, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Firstly, thank you very much for agreeing to do this conversation with me and also for hosting the conversation in your lovely offices here at Seriti. Thank you very much. First things first, a boy from Guatemala Springs in mining. So who is Mike Teke and how does Mike Teke come into contact with this wonderful industry?
Okay. So my career starts when I left a teaching profession, a 1-year stint as a teacher, and then joining Unilever, and then joining Bayer. And a lot of people don't know that Bayer, the German multinational, they know it as a pharmaceutical business. Bayer had 2 mines. They had a chrome mine and a fluorspar mine, Vergenoeg Mining Company and Rustenburg Chrome Mines. And then I just got to understand how the mining industry operated at the time between 1994 and 1999. And the attraction was for me getting to know the underground mines. The funniest part of it, I used to visit the underground mine in Rustenburg and get to understand the story of machinery, equipment, chrome, what they meant about the different types of grades, talking about the lumpy and all those things. And I was attracted to this industry. And I was fortunate that I was recruited by Samanco.
Yes.
1999 to go and join. They had the chrome and the manganese business, and I was going to join the chrome business. I phoned BHP Billiton, who were the owners of Samanco, not BHP Billiton.
Yes.
And the person who was talking to me said to me, "We've got a role for you. We'll take you to Met, to Samanco Manganese. It's called Metalloys." And I joined them. And when I joined them, the whole mining industry opened for me because suddenly I was inside Billiton. There was chrome, there was manganese, there was coal, there was aluminium. And I felt that this is the place I wanted to be. And then I joined them in Johannesburg, 6 Holland. The funniest thing about my career, and a lot of people don't know, is that I didn't come through mining engineering. I'm not an engineer.
I was about to say, when you started teaching.
I started as a teacher and then I joined the human resources function. But it's the inquisitiveness and the noise that I make, the noises that I make around understanding what's happening in these businesses. I wanted to know what was happening at the mines. I wanted to understand what was happening in chrome, what was happening in manganese, what was happening in aluminium. The most attractive proposition, obviously, later in life happens when I'm offered a big position as the Vice President Human Resources for Ingwe Collieries.
Yes.
Yes. So I meet a person by the name of Eddie Scholz and the entire team, and that's where I learned a lot about coal.
So you learned your coal skills at Ingwe Collieries.
Ingwe Collieries. And it is at Ingwe where I then say to Mr. Eddie Scholz, I think the story, it was not a story of coal actually for me. The attraction was the story of energy.
Yes.
Even today, I still talk about 3 things. I talk about energy, water, and data. Yes. Funny enough, and I'm saying these 3 things are going to drive the economies of quite a number of countries.
Yes.
So I left Ingwe to go and join Impala Platinum.
So you leave coal and you end
platinum.
Up in platinum.
Yeah. And at that time, the conversation with Billiton, with BHP Billiton, is a conversation around me and some people forming a consortium to buy assets out of BHP Billiton, because I had expressed an interest, they had expressed an interest.
Yes.
And that's how we came together to form what was Optimum Coal Holdings. But before it was Optimum, we were looking at assets within Billiton.
Billiton stable.
And Billiton was selling, they had disposed of Delmas Collieries, they had disposed of Gorenfontein mines. And Optimum became available. And we were in the at the right place at the right time, and we took over Optimum.
Yes.
And the shareholders of Optimum felt that I was the right person to be the chief executive officer.
Yes.
And I said, I'm ready. And we then started building what was then going to be Optimum Coal Holdings.
Why did you feel that you were ready at that time?
Well, I had a background of having worked in the mining industry for some time, number one. Number two, I knew that I wanted to lead something and build something. Yes. From a leadership point of view, you know, there are times where you feel that the capacity, the potential is there to do things. Yes. I felt very strongly that this is the time. The energy is there. I'm going to build it.
The knowledge is there.
The knowledge is there. And fortunately, I was surrounded by competent people, super competent people from the Optimum team. You know, you don't build these things on your own. You don't run a corner business alone, sitting. No. You're surrounded by top people. And then the business was bought by Glencore.
Yes.
And that's when I exited. Yes. And then I started saying, what's next? But again, that journey was traveled. Post that journey, the Optimum journey, there's a gentleman by the name of Doug Gain.
Yes.
We sat down and Doug said, what's your plan? And I said, my plan is to build something big. I am going to build something big. And I'm going to start now. And again, it's the MPRDA. The journey that we traveled as a country from 2002, which is 20 years now. Otsile, let me tell you something. The mining industry, the sector, has achieved quite a lot out of the legislation, quite out of the framework.
Yes.
Lots of companies were built. So Optimum was one of those stories. And I still believe that there's a huge opportunities in this area, and I'm going to deliver it.
Yes.
And Doug became part of the story. He's an integral part in building these things. He becomes the cook in the kitchen when we put these recipes. And then the opportunity arose for when Anglo wanted to dispose of its coal assets. And we raised our hand and we became successful.
Back into coal.
And at that time, Anglo had changed the whole transaction to say we're no more selling all our assets, the trained mines, export mines we're selling the domestic coal assets. And we said we can. Because I believed those domestic assets, with the core competence we had developed with Doug to take coal assets or mining assets, but let's focus on coal. I believe we've humbly developed the capacity and the competence to turn any asset in mining and create value out of it.
The world was sort of moving away from coal into other things with the green movement and clean energy and all of that. And right at that time, you raise your hand and say, I'll soil my hands with coal.
I worked it out at the time. I said, and Doug and I used to sit long hours and say, Doug, do you think that this thing called energy mix will work? At that time, we were talking about coal and nuclear.
Yes.
And we understood the journey that's traveled by people who drive the science behind climate change, carbon decarbonization and the like. I'm not a climate denialist, no.
Yes.
I understand it's real. I understand the issue of decarbonizing.
Yes.
I understand that green energy is the future as well.
Yes.
But I said to myself and the team, coal will still be in the mix. And if coal is still in the mix for the coming 2030, you must remember at the time it's around 2016, 2017.
Correct.
I still believe that in 2047, you'll still be having coal. But the decline will be there. You'll see the decline. Okay? And I want to be part of that story.
Yes.
I will be part of that story. BHP Billiton had a beautiful portfolio. You remember they used to call things called customer sector groups. They used to have diamonds, they used to have petroleum, They used to have iron ore, they used to have base metal, all those things.
Yes.
But they wanted out of coal.
Yes.
And they created South 32. Anglo, same thing, great assets globally. And for me, I am who I am because of these multinationals and the industry.
Yes.
This industry made me who I am.
Yes.
So then I said, I'm raising my hand, I want the South 82 assets. And we were fortunate, we were selected, and we built these assets. Now we're taking two cultures, an Anglo culture and an old Genco or Billiton culture, and we're creating these and putting these assets together.
Two historical rivals that have built global mining houses, two different cultures.
And I said, I need to put together these two. And we've successfully have managed. Yeah, we started with tough environments. But today, as I sit with you, I look at Seriti and say, for a small mining house, humble, we, for the first time, produced what we call millionaires in the mining industry. 3 millionaires. What are millionaires? A section in an underground mine producing 1 million tons with a continuous miner machine. Not millionaires as in people, no. 3, with a record of 0 fatalities. I'm proud of these teams.
Unbelievable.
These are the people who make things happen. These are magicians that I talk about. Yes. So that's my journey.
Now, what I know about the mining industry, having spent the years that I've spent in it, is we all have stories that are not published. The good stuff and the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Over the years, as you reflect on the 20 years, any reflections, interactions with unions, with government that you want to reflect on?
Post 94, then to the culmination of the MPRDA, when employment equity stories started, all those discussions around when are we going to see black faces becoming entrepreneurial and the like, the mining industry raised its hand. When there are initiatives that are regarded as CSI initiatives, whether building of schools, hospitals and the like, the mining industry stood up and said, we're there, we are available. Till today, I still come across leaders in the mining industry who are proud to go in of having gone into a community and said, we'll give, I don't know how many bursaries we give across the sectors.
Yes.
That old mining chamber, which has become today Minerals Council of South Africa,
yes,
it's an advocacy body, but we have stood by the fact that we're not going to be disruptive, we're not going to cause problems for the government of the day. And I'm proud of the fact that legislatively, if you look at the Minerals Petroleum Resources Development Act, when it was put together, the key people who are regarded as captains of this industry were at the center of putting together this legislation.
Absolutely.
I know that we cannot be perfect. We make mistakes. I know that the mining industry faces fatalities. I mean, in 1995, the record is such that people who died in the mining industry as a result of mining injuries or accidents were around 595, if I'm not mistaken. I stand to be corrected, to below 100. We recorded 49 recently.
So if we reflect on the next 20 years,
Yeah.
the MPRDA has done what it's done, lots of good things, some challenges. What can we look forward to in the next 20 years?
I believe the coming 20 years, we need to reflect on the MPRDA from a perspective of, has it done enough in terms of ownership, where the historically disadvantaged? Do we have what we call, is it enough?
Yes.
Have we done enough in terms
Yes.
of economic emancipation?
Yes.
That's the big question we need to address. In my view, I believe we still have a huge opportunity. So the coming 20 years, I see whatever government is in power must think about how do we try and build what we called exposure to equity. Not equity as in shareholding.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not as in shareholding, but the ability to have young people starting things, building things, that excitement.
Your final thoughts, you've had an illustrious career, you've come through the ranks in the industry. If you reflect and you were to leave a lesson for those that come after you, what would be your lesson that you would leave with people coming after you into the industry?
I would want young mining people who are coming into the industry. The biggest lesson is this industry, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, if you're a professional, you can't do it by remote control. You can't do it remotely. Be at the coal face, figuratively and literally. I love to see young people who grow up in the mining industry. It's not about the corner office in a suburb that is 150 kilometers away from the mine that makes you who you are. It's just go out there, hug the miner.
Go to the operations.
Touch the hand that cuts that coal for you. You know, be touched by the face that's sweaty.
Yes.
Of Mr. So-and-so and Mrs. So-and-so.
Yes.
Those are the people who emotionally touch me. And I say, my God, if I go underground one day in a week or 2 days or 3 days, these people do it 365 days a year.
Unbelievable.
Consistently. That's, for me, I would love young people to know that if you become a young engineering manager, spend time at the face.
Wow. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
those words. And my final word to you is that I grew up in Soweto, not
Sure.
in Kwatema. But as a young man that grew up in Soweto, that came into this industry, when I see my seniors do the kind of things that you have done, I know that our industry is in good hands. I want to congratulate you for the work that you've done for the industry, for the belief that you are instilling in youngsters who come from all walks of life to say it is possible. And I also want to thank you for your humility. In all the years that I've known you, the one thing that you've struck me was the human being, not the chief executive, not the chief people officer, none of that.
No.
Mike Teke, the human being.
Sure.
So I want to thank you and congratulate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mike Teke, thank you very much.
Thank you.